Hello, we are here with some kittens on National Kitten Day and with our kitten socialiser Joel, and hopefully we're going to teach you a little bit about kitten socialisation.
Hi everybody, I'm with 5 7-week-old kittens here, and before I start I just wanted to mention our website, which is www.cats.org.uk. There's some fantastic advice on there, so do go on there and search for any advice on cats, particularly as we're working with kittens. There's some fantastic advice on kitten socialisation and kitten care, so do head to the website and have a good look on there. So I was just going to talk about our socialisation program we have with our kittens. It looks like the best role in the world, and it looks like I've got a fantastic role with these guys, but there is a real purpose to it. So I just wanted to explain a bit about that, why we do it, what benefit it is for our kittens, but it is a fantastic role. You couldn't wish for better playing with these guys. So our socialisation, what is kitten socialisation? So we are basically getting these guys ready for their adult life. We're getting them ready for all the things they're going to face as they get older. It's particularly veterinary trips to the vet, being used to sounds, being used to smells, being used to adults, being used to children, making them as bomb-proof as possible, really. So when they go to their new homes, for their forever homes, they are ready for the outside, ready for the world. Not the outside world at this stage, but they're ready for the world as much as we can possibly do. It's a difficult environment in one way for a kitten to be socialised, because they are not necessarily seeing and hearing and smelling all the things they would do in a home, but we can try our best to get them as socialised as possible. So what is kitten socialisation? We are getting them ready for their life as an adult cat. Why is it important? Like I say, trips to the vet, being handled by people, being used to different sounds, being used to nail clipping, being used to having their health checks done, and being used to their owners giving them health checks, checking them over, clipping their claws, all these sort of things, giving them flea treatment, giving them worm treatment as time goes on. All these things make it really beneficial, and just being well socialised cats, so they're well used to humans, they're well used to human interaction. So that's why it's so beneficial and so important. We start our socialisation period from 2 weeks. We have a 2 to 8 week socialisation period. That is the time when they're going to learn the most. They're going to get used to those sounds. They're going to just digest that information that's going into their brains. So it's just so important that we use that 2 to 8 week period to really get them used to as much as we possibly can. So from those early stages, when they're 2 weeks of age, we are doing the very basics. I always like to think of it as a mini health check, really. So from that very early stage, we are just picking them up, always being aware of their mum, making sure the mum's not stressed, making sure the kittens aren't stressed. If there's any sign of stress at all while we're socialising with them, we are fully aware of that, and we're putting them back in with their mum if they're getting too stressed. But from that 2 week period, we are handling them, we're picking them up, we're very gently touching their ears, touching their faces, getting them used to being picked up, just doing all the really basic stuff that you would on a health check, so checking eyes, checking ears, checking their noses, really gently doing that so they're used to that. And like I say, any signs of any stress at all, we are putting that socialisation session to a hold. So from 2 weeks, it's really important to get hold of them. We are really wary of wearing PPE, so the gloves, aprons, something that we're all very aware of at the moment: gloves, aprons, over sleeves, over shoes. So these guys at this young stage, they are most vulnerable. They haven't had their vaccinations yet, so they're really vulnerable to picking up any infectious diseases that might be going around. So we're really wary of wearing that PPE to make sure they're looked after. They're at a really vulnerable stage. But yeah, 2 to 8 weeks. 2 weeks goes on. Around 5 weeks, we start picking up the pace really in the socialisation period. So at 5 weeks, we start opening their mouths gently, just to get them used to that. And that is once again, that is, and it can be quite daunting for an owner to be used to that if they're not used to opening the cat's mouth to give a worming treatment, or as time goes on in the future, medication as the cat gets older if that's needed. So at 5 weeks we start opening their mouths, lifting up their tail, checking their back end, just making sure everything's fine there. Once again, just picking up the pace of their socialization, so they're getting more and more used to being handled. And those things that as owners we're not always that keen on doing, like the giving a tablet. So they're really being well prepared for their adult life. The whole time we also keep them separate from their litter mates and from their mum for a maximum of a couple of minutes, just so they are, once again, if the stress levels heighten and they're clearly not enjoying things, then we'll put them back with their litter mates and their mum. But just seeing how they get on, getting them more and more used to human contact, really important. So as that picks up, we carry on that on to 8 weeks. So as you can see with these guys, they are about as confident as can be, and it's because they've had that really, really important socialisation period. And you'll see it in an adult cat, if they're not used to being handled at this early stage, you're likely to see cats that are not well adapted to being handled, well adapted to normal life. So it's so important that we give them those as much as we can while they're with us in our care. They're going through regular health checks from the staff and our volunteers as well. So they're getting that handling, they're getting used to that handling as time goes on. Really important. One thing we're really aware of, you'll see lots of toys in their enclosure here. It's so tempting to pick up your fingers. I've even done it myself, and I've been working with cats a long time. But it's so tempting to straight away get your fingers and start using your fingers as toys. But it's something that we really advise against, because we don't want these guys in the future seeing fingers as toys, so they don't see those fingers as something they can rip apart and chew on, which is really important. So that's why we've got these kinds of toys. You can see straws are a really good one. There's lots of toys out there that are really important, that are really, really useful. And just don't be tempted to use your hands, because they will see them as toys and they will chew on them. So be aware of that. It is tempting though, so just avoid that temptation. Get some good toys from kittens at this stage. Just love that enrichment. So you can see these toys here with the balls in there, feeding enrichment, anything like that will just give them that buzz, give them that something to play with. You can see here we've created a bit of a castle here with some cardboard boxes, and you can see they're investigating it, chewing on it, really, really enjoying that. So all this sort of stuff's really important. Our kittens are ready for rehoming after around 9 weeks when they've been vaccinated. Our kittens are neutered at 9 weeks. Depending on the vet of your vet in the area, it might change, but our kittens are neutered at 9 weeks, and then they are ready to rehome at that stage. The kittens, we start to wean the kittens from their mum around 6 weeks. You'll know from seeing mums and seeing cat mums in action, they are just about ready at 6 weeks. They've had enough of them by that point, and they are ready to start that weaning process themselves. It's a natural time for them to start weaning, from the kittens to start weaning from their mum. So around 6 weeks we start doing that. We're fortunate to have double pens here, so we can start separating mum and kittens temporarily at a time, just to give her that space as well. She's got 5 kittens to look after, and I bet she's absolutely shattered. So it gives her time to get away from the kittens, but also it starts that natural process for the mum to start removing herself from the kittens. That is a perfectly natural process. So we start that around 6 weeks. By that point, around 4 weeks, kittens are starting to investigate of the kitten food that they're given. They're starting to investigate the food, and by about 6 weeks they are well used to eating kitten food. So yeah, we start that weaning process from around 6 weeks. Mum is always there. Mum goes back with them after short periods of time, and then finally when they are at the age of vaccination and neutering, so vaccination from around 8 weeks and then neutering from around 9 weeks, that's when they are removed from mum. And believe me, mum is more than happy to get to that stage, because she's absolutely shattered, and that's just a natural process. So around that sort of time, yeah, it's such an important stage of their socialisation. Like I say, it sounds like a fantastic role, and it is. It's a great role, and if you're interested in volunteering as a kitten socialiser or any other role that Cats Protection offers, once again go on our website cats.org.uk and you'll see roles that are available in the future. But a really important role. We also bring in, we do family volunteering for our kitten socialising. So we have children that come in with their parents who socialise with our kittens. Once again, getting them used to both adults and children is a really important part of their development as cats. So they're not, I've got a cat at home and she is, we've got children and she is not overly comfortable with children being in the home. She's okay, she puts up with it, but if we can get these kittens socialised with children as early as possible within that 2 to 8 weeks, then they will be used to children as they're growing up. So they're not going to be put off by that child's voice, too much noise. Once again, we're monitoring stress all the time, so if they become overly stressed and it becomes distressing for the kitten, then we will change that situation. But really important at this stage to get them used to as much as we possibly can. Got a kitten using a litter tray. Litter trained, as you can see. We get them used to different types of litter, almost on cue actually. We get them used to different types of litter, so you can see this kitten's using wood pellet. In their pens we have wood pellet, we might have soil, we might have gravel litter. Just getting them used to as much litter as we possibly can, cat litter. So once again, they go to their new owner's home, ready for everything they might meet. They're not just going to encounter one type of litter. When they go home, they might encounter all different types, and if we can get them used to as much as we can, we will. Just going back to the removing, when we start to wean the kittens from their mum, it's done gradually. It's a slow transition, because one thing we really want to avoid is mum getting mastitis, which can be very sore and can be a real problem for mum. So it's just that gradual transition. So hasn't suddenly stopped feeding them. It's just a gradual transition. Kittens are getting used to kitten food, to the cat food, and mum is not at risk of mastitis. That's really important. Once again, with the socialisation, we get them used to as much handling as we possibly can, so they're being used to being picked up. Cats don't generally like being picked up, but it's getting them used to all these kinds of things. Some cats, I've had cats in the past that have enjoyed a cuddle, but majority I've found it's not their favourite thing. I think it's more of a human. We feel that they enjoy a cuddle, but we get them used to it. We just get them used to it because it's going to happen as they get older. And if they're comfortable with it and it's not going to stress them, so we get them used to that. But we also get them used to touching their paws, touching in between their paws, their nails. So once again, quite a stressful time for a cat is having their nails clipped. It's also quite stressful for the owner as well, who's trying to clip their claws. We just get them used to that, get them used to having their paws touched. One thing cats don't like is having their tummies tickled. As soon as it's tempting, I've done it myself, and cats will roll over, they'll reveal their tummy, and we instantly go in for a tickle. Cats don't like that. It's a really vulnerable area to them. They're showing their vulnerability almost. But with these guys, we get them used to it. It's not so in the future they roll over and they allow someone to rub their belly. It's just if it happens, it's not a big surprise to them. It doesn't shock them and stress them out. And also it's a good thing for the owner to one of those things. They're bomb proof. They're so used to contact and handling. It's not going to faze these cats at all. But cats don't like it. It's a vulnerable situation, a vulnerable position for them to be in. So once again, same with the playing with our fingers. We must avoid tickling on their tummies, as tempting as it is. These guys would have had regular health checks, like I say, by our staff members, by our vet team as well. Cats Protection cats all have such fantastic care. When they come in, they're having a first exam, which is checking their general health, checking their eyes, their ears, their nose, and working our way down the body to the back end, just making sure everything's fine. Obviously these guys, as they get older, they have vaccination, they'll be neutered, and microchipped as well, so they are having the best care they can possibly have. Really important process at this stage of their lives is observation. When we've got a lot of kittens in, and at this time of year there is lots of kittens around, it becomes it's a full-time job, because unfortunately when you clean a kitten's pen out, you get it looking sparkling, you get it looking lovely, you turn around the next minute it's absolutely destroyed. So it's a full-time job looking after these guys. We've got one stuck in the toy, there you go. A big part of that process is observation. So these guys are being observed daily, if not twice, 3 times a day. Weight is really important, so we're checking their weight regularly. Weight is a really key factor really in looking at a cat's welfare, and they're making sure they're putting on the right amount of weight. So observation, checking there, a lovely part of any animal care work is checking. We do talk about poo and wee quite a lot around the centre, but it's really important. It's important to their health that their poo is being checked regularly, their weeing, their eating, their drinking, everything like that is observed regularly. So a big part of animal care, cat care, is that observation. So these guys are being observed daily, like I say, if not twice, 3 times a day, and checking their weights regularly is a really important part of it. But the whole process is getting them ready for that forever home that they eventually go to, and are well-rounded cats.
Yeah, so Joel's obviously given us a huge amount of information there, which is really good and really nice of him. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. We are trying to answer some of them as we go, but if not, they will be answered at a later stage for you, hopefully, as best as we can. But yeah, otherwise we will continue for a bit and let you watch the kittens play for a bit longer. Give you another few minutes of it.
I can imagine one of the questions will be, how can I adopt a cat or a kitten, coming from the video. We have centres and branches across the UK. It's a slightly different situation right now, as you will all be aware of with COVID, but we have hands-free homing operating across most of the country. Like I say, it's a different situation, but once again, do check our website and look for Adopt a Cat, the Adopt a Cat section. You'll see all the information you need. Also find us, which will be, if you click on find your nearest centre or branch, you will find your nearest centre or branch. So do type in your postcode and your address, and you'll find your nearest option for adopting cats and kittens. Like I say, earliest age we rehome our kittens is 9 weeks. But there's lots of cats and kittens needing homes. Like I say, just a slightly different situation currently. Hands-free homing we are doing due to the COVID situation. But rest assured, all the regular checks, we try our absolute best to match the right cat with the right home. It's something we're so passionate about, is making sure the cats are going to the right home and you're getting the right cat as well for you. So a lot of work goes into that.
Yeah, well, I think thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure, and thank you very much to Joel for all of the information and for being such a good socialiser. The kittens are obviously loving it. Yeah, as he said, and as I said, if you want any more information, go to cats.org.uk, which is our website, and we'll have all the information there. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time.